Somebody said in the chat, how is the self-defense when he was shot a second time on the ground? That's the prosecution. She's going to have to lay that out, and I think she's already started that. And the jurors are going to see from the prosecution as they lay it out, right, Ed?
Yeah, but it shouldn't have taken 2 years to get to that point, okay? You shoot somebody until the threat is ended. If he is now down on the ground and he is disarmed of the alleged baseball bat, remember this is their story, right? Then you can't justify the second shot.
Day 2 in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. Crime scene experts' testimony. There was a lot more that went on during the day today, 6 hours plus of live streams. We heard from 2 firefighters. There was an issue with one of the people in the jury, Lori Vallow. It's like watching paint dry. It's like my ears are bleeding listening to this girl talk. Ed, your thoughts on day 2?
Day 2 was it's like the movie Airplane, and she's that character in the airplane that went from passenger to passenger and chewed their ear off to the point they unalived themselves. That's how I felt.
Yeah. You can't get the moments back listening to Lori Vallow Daybell up there on the stand, really not making any sense. She doesn't know what hearsay is, sidebars galore. And at some points, I was even hearing her like cackling and laughing when they were describing how they were attending to her 4th husband, Charles Vallow, who lay dead on the floor. She was making a mockery of it. And when I saw the show that she was putting on and the way she was being so disrespectful, and she was asking questions that didn't need to be asked, and it had no relevance to the case to help her. Right, Ed?
Well, right. Her offense is there was no conspiracy. So there's no reason for her to cross-examine anybody given this basic information in the beginning of the trial. Okay? I mean, how does it help her case? I didn't see anywhere in there her asking questions of these witnesses,
right?
And showing that she clearly doesn't understand hearsay. She doesn't understand what is and what is not hearsay. And she keeps making the same mistakes over and over again, to the point that the judge has to call sidebars and bring her up and speak to her. How many objections from the prosecutor get sustained because of her hearsay?
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you again, if you're a defendant and you're representing yourself in trial, you have a fool for a client.
Yeah. We say that over and over again, but yeah, your thoughts and maybe just a little overview of what he testified to today.
I mean, they made a big thing about this Lizzie Q, and all it is a 360-degree SLR camera. It's not a Faro or like a 3D laser scanner. It just takes very high quality, high resolution images of the crime scene in 360 degrees.
There was a couple of moments that got everybody talking. No blood found on the baseball bat. A lot of different things that you would assume would be found as the story was told. Alex Cox said that he attacked him with a baseball bat, hit him in the back of the head, which we know is hogwash.
Right. So according to this witness, he did not see any blood, nor did he speak about any hairs. If you get crawled in the head, and you got a head full of hair,
right,
you might expect to see some hair on that bat as well. And he makes no mention of that. I don't know if any lab analysts are coming in down the road to testify whether or not there was any DNA or hairs or fibers on that baseball bat. I don't even know if they processed the baseball bat for DNA, because remember, it was the daughter that touched it first, and then Charles, and then the attacker, Lori's brother, and then Lori herself may have touched it, but we don't know yet what happened with that bat.
This is all part of their made-up story.
Right. Well, that's what the prosecution's theory is, that in fact he did not get hit and the bat was planted to make up this self-defense story. You heard the information about the shored exit from the rear shoulder of Charles. So that shows you that he was lying down on this hard surface, this wood floor, when his skin and shoulder blade was in contact with this floor when that bullet tried to exit, thus giving the atypical exit wound known as a shored exit, okay, associated with that skin up against hard surface and the bullet trying to exit and then entering into this hard surface. All right. And there is a clear angle here and directionality. You could see it in the floor, which direction it was going. And later on in the testimony, he'll speak further on that and what they did.
Is this what you were talking about?
That is correct.
Could have got a lot closer.
Let me ask you this. Did you look at the rest of the floor?
What is that ding ding?
Or
it's on there.
Anything else that looked like that?
Yes, that was consideration. So we did look at the rest of the floor.
So you went through that whole room to see if you found any similar type of defects on it?
Correct.
Did you?
No.
So this was the only one that looked like that?
Yes.
So Ed, these defects here seem to just be
fragments.
Yeah, fragments that may have had something to do with the exit trajectory. Yeah.
No, it looks like lead fragments from a copper jacket lead bullet. But here's what happens, folks. If this bullet was fired directly down into Charles at 90 degrees, enters the chest area at 90 and exits the shoulder directly out, what would end up typically happening is you'd get that short exit. And in this case, the harder surface and the bullet having slowed down somewhat because of traversing through the body, when it impacts the floor like this, if it's 90 degrees, it can have a tendency to bounce back up into the body.
Right.
Okay. In this case, since it was at an angle, it came out. A portion of the broken bullet came out of the ballistic damage on the floor between the body and the floor, and is found underneath Charles on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's like an execution, the coup de grace, right? No, that should have been resolved way before 2 years.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's on a prosecutor at that point.
And we did speak about this many years ago. Once Tammy Daybell came up, that she didn't die in her sleep and she didn't have this medical episode, and then they found the kids and Chad Daybell's pet cemetery in his yard. That's when they said, oh, we got to look back at this. And you and I were critical about this. Yeah. And we said this shouldn't have gone that long, but we can't turn back the hands of times. And I'm hoping that justice will be had and I know it will be had for Charles Vallow. It's just that, like you say, justice delayed is justice denied.